Alright everybody, welcome to a brand new Sunset City arcade. Joining me today is Noah Copeland, the lead developer of Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, and we're actually going to be playing through it today.
We're actually doing it.
Yeah,
it's happening
this time.
Let's go, dude. Heck yeah.
This is our year. So, we have actually talked about this a little bit on the show before for those who are tuning in. And there we've got our random chance Knuckles popping up.
That's right.
Lucky to get for this stream because random, isn't it?
Yes. You know, sometimes Knuckles shows up, sometimes he don't. You never know. In fact, there's a lot of Easter eggs on the title screen.
Just the amount of options here as well. Like you can choose whether or not he's Knack or Fang.
What day is it? The 28th?
It is the 28th today.
Okay, Halloween is Tuesday. Boot up the game on Tuesday and see what the title screen looks like.
No way. Okay. All right. I'm keeping an eye out for that.
Yeah. Hopefully it works. I only have a chance to test it once a year.
That's amazing. Like, if you've pulled that off, that's genuinely amazing. Let's see, which options shall we go for? I'm going to keep him as Knack.
Are you Knack or Fang? You going old school or the new school?
I've always, habitually, I refer to him as Knack.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I've been talking about, Sonic Superstars and just been caught off guard by having to call him Fang. Oh, it's got my old sword on here.
I was originally just gonna call him Knack. Sorry. He was called Knack in the original. We're just going to call him Knack. But I'm glad I put the option in, considering since the time I've released it, Sega has officially stuck their foot down and said, no, it's Fang.
To be fair, if it was an alias, this could just be at the time that it wasn't it. I mean, this is continuity-wise.
Sure.
Where
they've put in a way where it's an easy out.
Yeah. So, is Amy something that has to be unlocked then? Because I haven't actually played as Amy in this yet.
If you've downloaded the new version, Amy should be available at the start.
Huh, okay.
Amy, much like Knack and Metal, they're only available in free play mode or continuous free play mode, which is essentially a story mode without cutscenes. They don't have their own separate campaign or anything.
We'll absolutely make sure to showcase a little bit of Amy gameplay before we finish up here. For those just tuning in, this is Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit. It is not an official product, don't let it fool you, but it's as every bit as polished as one, I'd probably say, or maybe more so considering what official products can sometimes be in this franchise. But,
I tried.
We've got the pretty revolutionary switching to Tails thing here, which I think is sick. This is definitely how it should have been in Sonic 4 Episode 2. Okay, so given that how long have you worked on this then? How long has this been in the making?
I think it was August 2017 when I first said, I'm going to make Sonic Triple Trouble in 16-bit. So I was still in college at the time. Yeah. But, and then it's a long, long road of figuring out. I thought I was going to be done in I'll have this done in a couple months. So anyway, 5 years later, the game came out.
Was it suddenly there was a lot of progress while there was just a lot of testing in the beforehand stages? Because I only really heard about this a year ago, maybe?
Yeah, well, a year ago is when it came out. Did you hear about it before release or at release?
I'd heard rumblings that this was kind of in the works, but I didn't know of anything being playable until last year.
Yeah, well, there was actually two demos, I think, 2 or 3 demos beforehand at the Sage Expo.
Yeah.
And it was really what it was. It was me trying to figure out. It was me trying to make a game for the first time, and also trying to figure out how to make a game and how to make this game both at the same time, right?
So was this the first kind of project of this sort of scale, or?
Of this sort of scale, absolutely. Yeah, it was okay. I've always loved Sonic. I've always wanted to make my own Sonic game, my own Sonic fan game. I'm just going to make one. I tried to make one before, but it was all original. I thought that's going to be a lot of work. I need something that's already existing. That'll make it easier. I'll remake Triple Trouble, but it wasn't actually easier. In some ways, it was harder because You can't. You're beholden to something that people already love instead of being able to do your own thing. And yeah, it was just a lot of figuring out like the vision and the scope, right? Figuring out. Originally, it was just going to be the same original game with the same levels, but just better graphics. Same level design, better graphics.
See, that's what I was expecting, like, when I first heard about it.
Yeah, me too.
The evil.
But that doesn't work. Yeah, it's like, because the physics are so different. Like, if you have a Genesis Sonic on screen, you expect it to play like Genesis Sonic's physics.
Absolutely.
But that level.
I was thinking a lot about how even just things like animations and presentation can have an impact on how a character feels. I was thinking about this with like Sonic Superstars, for example. Is like his animations are very weighted, but I can't confidently speak on any actual differences between the physics of that game and the physics of the classics, for example.
Yeah, you're very much correct. Even if you could prove that they're moving at the same sort of, distance relative to space at the same rate, same speed, same gravity, but the animations are at a different speed or different feel, it all affects how it feels. And Sonic fans are super sensitive to that. So there's a lot of stuff I had to tweak throughout development to make sure it was, as accurate as possible. And the Sonic fan game is nuts that they have all this stuff in like charts and like guides that tell you Sonic's braking animation lasts for this amount of frames and this amount of this or that.
The amount of thought that goes into, like, I would say just the amount of thought that goes into creating something like this, but also just how much Sonic fans have archived this stuff and made it readily available for people that do want to get into fan games.
Yeah, that's super handy. So I'm very thankful to, Mercury and Lapper and people that have worked on the Sonic physics guide for a long time because, Sonic fans got to have their physics just right. And luckily we have a guide on how to get that just right, And so, yeah, I got it I'll say I got it at least pretty close with Genesis Sonic. But unfortunately, those physics don't work with the Game Gear level design.
No.
So I couldn't just use that because he had different physics on there. So then I was like, well, crap. Now this went from graphics swap to basically new Sonic game. And so a reimagining. So it was a lot of hard work to figure out how Sonic level design works. Because, dude, it's not easy, man.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. Like,
I think Hirokazu Yoshihara, which is the designer of the first 3 Sonic games, that man is a certified genius as far as I'm concerned. That, like, one of his first games ever, he comes up with this level design style. And, he perfected it over the 3 games. But it's really hard to imitate style because it's very unorthodox from other platform games.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took, Brad Flick and the people working on Mania, I think, to get it right again after a very long time.
I think it's the thing of, like, a lot of people, like, myself included, will kind of go back to Sonic 1, for example, and, like, I still like Sonic 1, I think it's a great game, but going back to it, seeing how it kind of takes more just a conventional kind of platformer style of level design, and brings with it a lot of that conventional platformer philosophy. Like, when you've gone from, like, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic Mania, etc., it no longer feels good, Like, that's not to say the game doesn't feel good, but that philosophy no longer feels optimal for Sonic. Like, it's one of those things where you want to promote speed, but you don't want it to be just speed as well,
Yeah, so you can tell they're still figuring it out on Sonic 1, right? Like, Green Hill is, like, the blueprint, and then they're like, crap.
Now what?
Like, I think they're like, we got to make more of these. All right, Marble Garden, everything's square, and like Marble Garden could be in any game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But only Green Hill could only be in a Sonic game. So
absolutely. All right, so these special stages, like, what was it's been a long time since I picked up the old version of Sonic Triple Trouble. Were they races against Knack in those ones?
So there's 2 different types of special stages in the OG game. There's one that's sort of a behind-the-back photo 3D. You got to collect rings, and you're in the tornado. You're in the plane.
Yes,
right?
Okay, that.
And you're only in the plane.
Yeah.
And then the other special stages are just 2D side-scrolling. They're like regular stages that just take place in a weird purple palace. And at the end, there's a boss fight with Fang.
So this is kind of like a reworking of that overall concept, I guess?
Yeah, because yes, here's the plane.
Yeah, that's nice. That is nicely incorporated.
Thank you. But yeah, it's like every 3D or every Sonic special stage always did some showpiece for the Genesis hardware to be like, hey, good job of getting the emerald.
Thank you.
It's some sort of showpiece of like, look, we can make 3D on 16-bit hardware. We're better than Nintendo. There's always like the half pipe or the rotating maze or the Sonic 3 Blue Spears. There's always trying to do something to show off. So I was like, well, I can't just have the special stages be just like regular gameplay. If this would have been a hypothetical like Genesis version, then it's got to be some sort of thing that shows off some sort of 3D capabilities. So I saw a game called Panorama Cotton, which only came out in Japan on the Sega Genesis, and it was very much it was a lot similar to the special stages that you see here, and that was my inspiration for like how would they show off like a fake 3D style. So
yeah,
there we go.
I am now scared because I have no ring. I'm gonna go as Tails. Great, no shield. Yeah, no. So I'm guessing
it's better to be Sonic here, because if you bounce a ring, you can curl back into a ball, and therefore you won't be vulnerable.
Okay, let's switch back. See, this is so unsuspecting, this little part here. It's like...
Yeah, a little Ryan Johnson action. Watch out. Subverting expectations.
Now, be careful. You're risking turning this into a Star Wars discussion.
Oh, yeah, let's not do that. But yeah, see, when he moves his head and you hit the springs in the middle, if you press the jump button again in midair, you'll curl back into a ball if you're Sonic. That way you can... you'll no longer be in a vulnerable state.
Now that's awesome. Like, I would love to see more of that in, like, the official... come back. Oh, come on.
Yeah, see...
Yes!
You curl back into a ball in the OG Triple Trouble, so I had to have that in here.
Yeah. No, I think I remember, actually, because I love how brutal they look when they die.
Yeah, I believe that was Kami Jojo, one of our artists, did all the defeated boss sprites, and I think he did an excellent job.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, I'm guessing this was kind of made with the philosophy of, like, this is how it would be if they released, like, this back in the 90s, basically.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, if you think of Sonic 2 on Genesis, and then Sonic 2 on, like, Game Gear, right? So, imagine if we only had, like, the Game Gear games, and then had to imagine what the 16-bit version would look like. That's kind of what I was trying to do.
Yeah. There's a little detail I just wanted to quickly touch on. I love how Tails was waving at Knuckles just then.
Yes, because in terms of the continuity, last you heard, Knuckles was your good buddy.
Yeah, now he's off the Christmas card list. Like...
Yes, so I wanted to acknowledge that, so I was like, well, Tails would be like, Knuckles, and just give him a little wave, so... I've gotten, like, quite... I think on my main save, I'm, like, up to the final boss, and that's where I got a little stuck, but... I liked the... Final boss?
Not the final boss. The main campaign final boss. But I really like how the Knuckles twist in this one was handled, much more than the original game.
Yeah. That was a big challenge, too, because I'm like, alright, so... Like, look, let's be honest. Like, the original Game Gear game was just... Doing the Knuckles is bad because... There was no, like, oversight and, like, keeping, like, continuity and stuff. It's just, like, whatever.
And I guess it was essentially, like, surrogate Sonic 3 back as far as, like, 8-bit consoles were concerned.
It's 100%, yeah. I mean, Tidal Plant is... to me, it almost looks like they saw screenshots of Sonic 3 and then tried to make a game based off that. Like, Tidal Plant Zone is like launch base. It's purple and yellow pipes with water around it,
I've always loved that aesthetic as well. Like...
So that was one of the big challenges. Like, okay, so if this is going to be a Genesis game, then it means that it has to follow Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which means how are we going to figure out why Knuckles is all of a sudden the main protagonist? Because you can't have him not be an antagonist. Because you can't have him be not be an antagonist, because the name of the game is literally Triple Trouble, right? There's got to be 3 people going after you, so...
Which is interesting, because you could theoretically still make it Triple Trouble with just the trio of, like, Metal Sonic... Oh, I didn't know I could do this. Every time I've played this before, I've never even considered this.
Heck yes, you could do this in the Game Gear version as well,
This is rewarding. Okay.
and break spikes as well.
That's awesome. That was the thing, is when I was playing it the first time, I was like, okay, this is going to be good, because I think, like, Triple Trouble, as far as, like, Game Gear Sonic games go, Triple Trouble's the one to do, you know, like, and I was like, okay, remastering of Triple Trouble, cool idea. Then when I played it, I was like, this would be an adequate Sonic 4. Like, this would be, like, if someone told me this is what they came up with after Sonic 3, I'd call it adequate, you know, like...
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That definitely was the goal, right? Is I wanted it to feel like, what if there was just one more? Like, did you see a video? There's a really good video
Is it
that someone did for April Fools. Yes. Could you critique the April Fools video? Where he basically talked about it as if it was.
It caught me off guard. Like, I was like, what do you mean?
Those who don't know, he did it as if there was like this forgotten Sonic game on Genesis that no one ever talks about, and goes through the whole thing pretending that this is just a game that you guys all forgot about and never played because everyone else went 3D at the time, and then gets to the end of it and it's just like, just kidding, this is a fan game. You know, if you switch to Tails right there, you can fly up high enough to damage Knuckles while he's on the wall.
Come here, It's honestly also just nice to get a good classic Knuckles boss fight, because love Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The Knuckles boss fight is not it in that game. Like, it's so
Fly up and get him. I missed him.
Oh, fly cancel. Hang on.
Yes, you can fly cancel.
I'm getting to grips with this again. Like, the last few times I played this, it's been on my mobile phone on a train. So, I'm remembering all these controls for, like, my Xbox controller now.
Nice. So I wanted you to have, like, different strategies for different boss fights with different characters. Like how Sonic is good for that last boss fight because he can curl into a ball. Tails is good for this because he can get high enough to hit Knuckles, that type of thing. And yeah, I want a good Knuckles boss fights, right?
Yeah.
I wanted it to feel like a Mega Man Knuckles boss fight.
I also
looked at a lot of Mega Man games for inspirations.
Was it in that stage where if you go long enough, he starts throwing rocks at you from the foreground? Or background, rather? Or is that the snow one?
That's the snow one.
Okay, we'll get there. Quickly, just gonna quickly pause this because we've got a couple of super chats. We got Mr. Terry Chaos with £2. Sorry to miss this. On a sesh, have a good one, lads. Thank you, Mr. Terry Chaos. And Sonic Fan 1661 sends $2 saying, "Hey Noah, where can we find such guides? Thank you."
Such guides. I assume we're talking about the physics guides.
The things like how to like kind of program the momentum, deceleration, etc. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I would go to sonicretro.org, and they have a document called the Sonic Physics Guide that is... It has been recently updated by Lapper, who's making Sonic Studio. You just have pretty much everything you need there. When I started working on Triple Trouble, it actually was a little less informative, but still super helpful.
Do you reckon?
So that's what I would.
Do you reckon Sonic Team finally looked at that for Sonic Superstars?
You know, I've thought of that. I'm like, yo, dude.
I mean, better late than never, right? Just pay him. Just pay him, as far as I'm concerned. You know.
It's like the info's there, so if anyone wants to know how to make the physics accurate, the info is out there. Whether you're Sonic Team or whoever.
Because that was something I was going to ask earlier, was like, is there like a stock kind of fan-made classic Sonic engine that you could theoretically open up and make your own Sonic levels with and stuff like that?
There's a lot of them, actually. It depends on which engine you're using, but for like Game Maker, mine is... Triple Trouble was made in one called... well, it's sort of a mix of two. There was Flicky, and then it was sort of replaced by a newer version called... it's the Japanese word for hedgehog. Harinazumiz, or I don't remember what it is.
Needle mouse.
Because I don't speak Japanese, I'm sorry. Yeah, needle mouse. Just look up Japanese word for hedgehog, and that's the name of it. And then there's one recently that I've been using lately, for not for this, but for other things, called the Orbinaut framework that is super accurate and super high frame rate. So, yeah, or if you use Click Team Fusion, there's Sonic Worlds and not so simple Sonic Worlds and all these variations of that get you all up and running. I just saw there's a Godot, or Godot, whatever you want to call it, engine
Woman.
or framework out there. Wonder Woman, yeah. There's a Gal Gadot Sonic framework. It's wonderful.
Okay. All right. Enough of that.
Okay. Got that on my notes. No puns.
No. If it's too cheesy even for me, you got something there. Honestly, I feel like I should congratulate you. But I also, just seeing Sonic and Tails with different elemental shields to each other makes me so happy. Like, elemental shields are so often neglected in, like, Sonic games these days. Even... I like Superstars plenty, and I like the Emerald abilities. I think they're a fair trade-off, but, like, I miss elemental shields in classic Sonic games.
Yeah, I really like the elemental shields, too. I get why they've played less of a role, is because only Sonic could really utilize them. And then, like, you start getting balancing issues there and stuff more to account for. So I understand why they're less here. But, I mean, if this was hypothetically just came after Sonic 3, like, heck yeah, we're using the elemental shields, you know?
Yeah,
you gotta
it's
have
not
them.
like... Considering that these other characters have their own advantages as well, I suppose it's like a fair trade. Like, sure.
Yeah, and
you can't...
right now you have the Gold Shield, which is from Sonic 3D Blast, which gives Sonic the homing attack.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that. That's awesome. Also, just something I was just thinking about, actually, is how good the Knuckles fight music is in this game. Like, how it incorporates, like, the beta Sonic 3 Knuckles music. But I also just... I love how climactic it feels like a betrayal, you know? Like, when it gets into, I think, is it the more original part of the song? The part that's been composed bespoke for this?
You mean the dun 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 dun?
Well, that's the Metal Sonic part. I mean the part after that. The bridge, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know my music terminology, forgive
That's
me.
also... Yes, that is also a original piece by me. Added onto it.
It feels climactic. Like, I like that a lot. Like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, Knuckles, you've screwed the pooch this time, buddy. We used to be friends. Look what you've done, you know?
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
Man, even down to
Yeah, there are a lot of songs like that where on this soundtrack where it's like we take the original, but then we'd add something, a new, bridge or whatever to it, just to give it some new life.
Yeah, definitely. I remember hearing, like, the multiplayer tracks as well. Like, being like, whoa, okay, all right, calm down. What are we doing here?
I love the multiplayer tracks. A lot of those were made by other composers because I was like, all right, come in here with a new perspective and give us a new variation on these tracks. Or my favorite touch is if you play multiplayer mode, whenever you win a match, the victory theme will play, and then the waiting for next round music will play. And it's the same bass line and drums, but the melody changes depending on which character won the match.
That is awesome.
So you get Sonic's theme, Knuckles' theme, Tails has his Tails Adventure theme. Different melody will play depending on who won.
So it's kind of like a love letter to kind of that era of Sonic as well. Oh, don't want to...
Yes, absolutely.
Ah, God, like, when I was last on the train playing this and I had this part, I felt so bad for the flickies that burned to death. Like... this can be a very dark game if you allow it to be.
Well, if you notice, they do run away from the fire. At launch, they actually would just run into the fire like all the other ones, but then in the update at some point, I changed it to where when the fire's on, they actually run away from the fire.
They don't fear death. In fact, they love it.
You're gonna get shot!
Got
So
it.
close. And yeah, so this right now with the lighting effect is supposed to be imitating a thing that the Sega Genesis graphics chip could do called shadow and highlight mode, where you could just cut out pieces of it. You see this effect in Castlevania, I think Bloodlines it is. But somebody told me, like, oh, this would have been impossible on Genesis. So I'm like, every effect or graphical little elaboration in this game was usually researched to see, like, all right, is this something they could have actually done on Genesis?
So
There's
that
no
research must
transparency
have been like
in
a
the game.
huge part of development in and of itself then, like...
Oh, yes. I'm very thankful for Game Hut. Oh my god, John Burton is his name. He was a programmer on 3D Blast and Sonic R and stuff. He does a lot of videos showing all the different tricks you can do. I love this part right here.
Bonk.
It's just trying to go for like a Wile E. Coyote type of thing.
Yeah. That's fun. Hooray!
But yeah.
Alright. Sorry, you were saying?
Oh yeah, it's just like all these videos showing all the different tricks you could do. Like there's never any like transparency, because that's not something Genesis could do. There's not really any bright scaling, but if there ever is, there's actually you could be done by software, not hardware, which means it would slow the game down. If you played a Sky Sanctuary and Sonic and Knuckles, whenever the egg robos come in from the back and they sort of their sprite scales up as they come in from the background, there's a little bit of a small hitch in the frame rate as the Genesis takes a second to try to process that sprite scaling.
Yeah.
So in the same thing in this game, anytime you see sprite scaling, I force the game to just buckle for just a second, to imitate that effect.
That's
so
commitment.
I'm probably only developer probably only developer in history to ever intentionally lower the frame rate of my game.
That
You're
creates
always
another
planning to
kind
get
of
it higher.
artistry, doesn't it? Like, sometimes when you impose these limitations on yourself, it means you have to kind of innovate in order to kind of circumvent that, or, like, make it work, you know, to your advantage. And I think the fact that you've willingly kind of embraced that has made this kind of as kind of special as it is.
Well, thank you. And I definitely think the embracing the limitations of OG Sonic is where this game really found its life and its vision. Because originally when I first started out, I was unconcerned. I'm like, I'm making this game like in, 30 years after the fact. Why would I intentionally limit to myself to like a console that came out in '89? Like, that is so silly. And then after a while, I'm like, I'm going to only do what would have been possible. And I think that limitation forced you to think creatively in a certain way, and it forces you to sort of make decisions that are more in line with what the Genesis games look like. I think that level of restriction gives way to a certain degree of authenticity that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Definitely.
And shout out to all my artists for embracing. There's strict color limitations on Genesis, right? You can only have like about 60 colors on screen at one time, but they're divided up into 4 different palettes, and you can only use 1 palette per sprite and that type of thing. So shout out to all the artists, very talented people that were willing to put up with those limitations. There are many times where like D Light Years, who's one of the artists that was worked on this project the longest, she would do this thing where she would make this beautiful sprite, beautiful big boss, like the big turtle boss. I'm like, D, that looks great. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to make it look worse because there's too many colors. We gotta embrace the limitations. And she'd go and she'd fiddle with it and change it up to where it'd be less colors but still look nice and all that type of stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge, but they all did great work.
The fact that they can make it work within those limitations as well as they did as well. I think having these limitations here as well gives the game, in terms of like the greater scope of fan games, it gives it such a distinct kind of visual identity as well, which is something I can really appreciate. As I think another classic Sonic game, which came out at a very similar time, another fantastic one as well, Sonic and the Fallen Star, kind of showcases like what a classic Sonic game could be, but one with like such a kind of contemporary, yet still a quintessentially 90s kind of aesthetic to it. And I think having these two games back to back is great because it showcases two very different mentalities towards kind of the retro art style. And yeah, like I think that time of the year was a great time to be a classic Sonic fan.
Yeah, Fallen Star is great. I love the guys that worked on that, and I love how that game ends up looking. It's beautiful looking. I think it looks pretty incredible. But yeah, like you said, it is a completely different style. It was unconcerned with the limitations, where we were like chained ourselves to the limitations, and
it's like a window to like
identity.
Another timeline where this was how the game was, like.
I really hope so. Yeah.
So what was your reasoning for choosing 16-bit to be the game to, not 16-bit, got the wrong part of the title there. What was the inspiration for Triple Trouble being the title you would choose to kind of go back to first?
I thought it would be the one that would translate the best. Because remember, originally I wanted to just keep the same level design. I thought its level design would work the best in 16-bit out of all the Game Gear games.
Yeah.
I thought it would translate better than Chaos would, you know. Turns out none of them translate that well. And so it was, I think, the closest, but it still had to be redone. But, you know, if you actually ever look at level maps, like a zoomed out map of my game and then a zoomed out map of the OG Triple Trouble, you can see a lot of spots in which the levels have the same general contour. It's like, oh, it goes up here, and then it goes down here, and then there's a loop-de-loop somewhere in the middle here. There's a lot of broad strokes that are the same, and I did try to keep that, but the moment-to-moment in the weeds of it is very different.
And what was it that kind of got you into Sonic as well? Like, because it takes a lot of devotion to do something like this.
That was, we owe that to grocery shopping. So, I don't know what it was like in the UK, but here in the US, we had at old Walmart, we had the demo kiosks that would have the controller of a GameCube at the bottom, at like the height where a child could play it, but the screen would be a CRT like 10 feet in the air, and you'd like break your neck going up and looking at the screen, and that's how we used to demo games. And Sonic Adventure, I saw someone playing Sonic Adventure 2 on that, and I went, whoa, what was that? That may be the coolest thing my 10-year-old brain's ever seen. I went and played it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this hedgehog, he's so cool. Everything's so fast. The music is so punk rock. Oh my gosh, there's a giant semi-truck chasing you. This game is action-packed. This is radical.
Oh, it so is, though. It absolutely is. I feel that. I love Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah, that game is near and dear to me. So I was like, I have to. I was like, that's my first hit. I gotta have more. Start scratching my neck. You guys got any more them Sonics? So I went over to the. I didn't have a GameCube, you know, so I had to pay $150 to get a GameCube, and then $50 more to get the game. You know, I'm like, or I saw that for like $15, they have this Sonic and Knuckles collection on Windows 95 PCs. So I used my, I think, allowance money and some mom money to buy that. It came with Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic CD in like a 2-pack, and that was my first time playing or owning a Sonic game. And so
that's a good way to start.
You know, you talk
like Sonic 3 and CD are like some of my favorites of like the 2D ones, anyways.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I had a good dose of both, I guess, modern and classic Sonic at once. I played Adventure 2, wanted it, and then bought what I think is the best, still to this day, the best classic game, which is 3 and Knuckles. You talked about how Knuckles' theme in my game here uses the beta, soundtrack. I'm like, well, for me, that was the Knuckles theme that I grew up.
Oh, yes, because they had the old music in there, didn't they?
That's right. They had beta Knuckles theme in the PC version that I played first. So I was happy to get that version of Knuckles theme into this game because that's my OG Knuckles.
It's amazing how these things
theme.
implant themselves onto us as kind of like what we understand of Sonic. It's like, for me, I struggle calling him like Dr. Eggman instead of Dr. Robotnik, like, because that's how I knew it as a kid, that's that character. And I guess for you, that must have been like Knuckles' theme effectively, like.
Yeah, to be fair, I think resonate more to the Sonic and Knuckles one, because that is in the PC version, the that one.
For me, the best one, in my opinion, is the Sonic 3 standalone one, which is just the drums. I just think it has a vibe to it, like.
It definitely has a vibe. I think I prefer the Sonic and Knuckles one because it, I think it communicates Knuckles' mystic nature a little more.
Okay, yeah, I'm
than
feeling that.
The fact that he's a guardian on an island by himself. He just hangs around eating grapes all day, right? There's sort of this almost like it's like it's part samurai, part Native American. Like, it's really cool. It's got some mystic energy to it, that I don't think Knuckles has sort of had since then that I think's really cool. But the Sonic 3 one is just straight up vibing with his rough and ready drum beat.
It gives me that sense that it's like, it's a new foe that Sonic is here to kind of talk shit to effectively, you know? Like,
Yeah, you're like, oh, this guy definitely doesn't chuckle.
right? Even though that's the first thing he does.
Literally introduces the character, chuckling. Theme song says, I don't chuckle.
That man is full of contradictions. Where my rings go? Doesn't matter.
Oh, Overbound in the chat. Hey, Overbound says, that Sonic Adventure kiosk at Sears, though.
So,
I relate to that.
In my case, my story of how I became a Sonic fan isn't actually very different to yours at all. Now, I'm an idiot for that.
Dang,
but,
marketing got us.
But basically, I mean, I grew up with Sonic 1 and 2 back on the Sega Mega Drive, as it was referred to over here, and I had the PAL version of Sonic 1 where everything's just a bit slower, including the boss theme, which sounds really spooky and slow, but, that wasn't so much what made me a Sonic fan. Those were kind of like second-hand experiences because the Mega Drive belonged to my parents, and I was basically just playing their games effectively. But I liked them enough. They were my first games ever, effectively. But I didn't become a Sonic fan myself until one day, and it was a kiosk, basically. But it was at basically what is our equivalent to GameStop. And if you can guess the name of it, I don't think you could guess the name of what our GameStop is called.
There is no way I could guess it. It's, I don't know, fish and chips.
Yeah, you got it in one. You got it in one. No,
Too soon, I'm sorry.
It's called Game. That's just all it is.
It's just called Game.
Game, yeah. We've also got a restaurant called Eat over here as well, so I think we've got a theme.
Game and Eat?
Yeah, we got a restaurant called Eat
Gosh.
in the UK, so it's like, yeah.
What are your funeral homes called? Die?
Might as well be. But
It's called Dead.
I used to live next door to a funeral home, which I think was called like The Freedom or something. I don't know, but has a very positive
it's a
mentality.
Positive spin.
Yeah. Get your wings and fly. But yeah, they had a kiosk in there that was playing Sonic Unleashed, and I hadn't heard from Sonic in years. Like, you know, it was just something that was a part of my childhood, bit of nostalgia, and that was it. But I go and I check out the kiosk while my parents were looking at something, and I was like, whoa, he goes very, very fast now. Like, I remember him being like a fairly zippy little fella back in the Mega Drive days, but this guy ain't kidding with his speed. And
the 50 hertz definitely made the contrast even more.
Yeah. But I remember I kind of just forgot about Sonic Unleashed after a while until I got an Xbox 360 for Christmas one year, and I was like, I want to get the Xbox 360 version of Spider-Man 3 the game, which would have been a big mistake.
Heck yeah.
But it was one of those things where they're like, okay, you can trade Spider-Man 3 or trade what games you've got here in for a coupon off of Spider-Man 3, or you can get Sonic Unleashed just wholesale for it. And my dad was like, go for Sonic Unleashed. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'll go for Sonic Unleashed. Never look back. That is the game that made me a Sonic fan.
Heck yeah.
That was
Definitely
the point where...
Better than putting dirt in your eye.
Yeah, dude, I've been playing, like, the Xbox 360 version of Spider-Man 3, the game, lately, and my god, am I glad I didn't go down that route, because I don't think it's
That's the one Toby game I haven't played.
There's one thing in that game that makes it a bad game in my eyes. Just one thing. Everything else I can kind of look past. And
what is that?
The Kraven the Hunter boss fight is like 45 minutes long. And
Gosh.
after that boss fight, you get chucked into this basement full of lizard people, but none of your health regenerates beforehand or anything like that. So without warning, without telegraphing, you're just chucked into this pit of lizards. So I fought all 45 minutes of that Kraven boss, fell into the pit of lizards, and immediately got mauled to death. And then it took me back to the bloody beginning of the Kraven boss fight. And I was like, no. There's a lot of things I can accept. Like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 game, I can accept. This, nah, nada.
Did you play the Kraven fight on that was an Xbox exclusive on Spider-Man 1, the movie?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though, right?
I know what you're talking about, yeah, because it was an exclusive thing.
Yeah, dang. I was hoping you have, because I've never played that, because I grew up the GameCube version.
Yeah, I only had it on PS2. But I did eventually get them on Xbox 360 a little while later, and Yeah, it was one of those things where I was going to do the night before Spider-Man No Way Home came out. I was going to do a little live stream.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I was going to play through, like, some of the old movie games. And I don't know what stopped me. I think I just ran into, like, a problem with the disc or something, and it just wasn't loading up. But I remember...
Do you like movie 1 or movie 2 of the games?
Oh, which of the games do I prefer?
Yeah, between the Toby games.
Gotta go for movie 2.
Yeah.
There's a lot to love about movie 1 with the additional content, like the Green Goblin side story and stuff like that. But movie 2 is so revolutionary, and, like, for a long period of time, it had, in my opinion, the best web-swinging system in any Spider-Man game. Just because of how manual it all was. And I was overjoyed to see them bring elements of that into the new Spider-Man 2 game, as opposed to the more automated style that they've been going for before. And it is funny how much parallel there is between, like, Sonic and Spider-Man in that regard. It's like, oh, I liked it better when it was momentum-based web-swinging, not this automated stuff.
Yeah, well, talk about low-budget flights. You've seen that clip where it's, like, that line is from this Spider-Man animated show in the 90s?
Was it? Was that actually in there?
Yeah. There's an episode where Spider-Man hops onto the green Hobgoblin's glider and says, "Huh, no Stallone movie? No Peanuts?
Yes!
I'm out of here."
I remember that now. Man, like, it makes a lot more sense when you think about the overlap between, like, Sonic fans and Spider-Man fans, like, in that way.
Yep.
What am I doing 100%. Wrong here? Like, what's going on?
You gotta get the snowball up top.
Ah, okay. Oh, I'm an
Sonic
idiot.
the Snowman.
That's fun. That's fun.
My favorite thing is the fact that their sneakers poke through the snowball.
It's cute. It's silly. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. When I first did a round where I just did a snowball, then I'm like, hang on, I think this could be a lot funnier if I have his feet showing through.
I love these seal fellas as well. How they're pretty much more a help than they are a hindrance.
Yeah, they really are. You know, they're just programmed to boop things. They just want to boop.
They didn't get the memo that they're supposed to be a threat. They're just so
they just
gentle.
want to boop, man.
So gentle. I like seals. I think they're great, and I like these seals too.
They're vibing too. If you notice their idle animation, they're just bouncing back and forth.
I have to go back and see it. Ah. Let him go. Put him down. No, not for God's sake. All right. Okay.
Just go to the right and then look down.
Noah, you gotta patch this, man. Nah, it's fine. Okay, let's... Sonic!
Sonic!
You are uncooperative.
If you jump, will Sonic go?
0 out of 10 IGN. Nah. But I saw he was, like, moving his little flipper. Adorable.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a boss fight in, I think, Sonic 2 Game Gear. With a little...
Yes.
Bounce and seal.
I'm impressed you got that far. I'm impressed anyone got that far.
Well, you know, YouTube playthroughs go a long way.
That'll do it. Yeah, that game does not want to be played.
Yeah, I do not believe that I've ever beat Sonic 2 on Game Gear, but, you know, you can definitely watch a playthrough, do your research, get ideas, that type of thing.
I've seen people say they love that game. Like, you're lying. You can't love that game. It doesn't love you, for starters.
Hey, man, people have been in toxic relationships all the time.
I suppose. I feel that. So, given that Fang was in Sonic Superstars, like, how did you feel about that? Like,
dude, that reveal trailer, I got so hyped, man. Because I feel like, obviously, I don't think Sega gives a flying crap what I did, but you know, it's fun to be like, did I pave the way for the Fang Renaissance?
The
Fangazance? You know, it's just like, you know, they were obviously working on it before my game came out, but it was cool to see that, you know, I make this game where Fang comes back, reintroduced classic Sonic and all this stuff, and then they bring him back, and I'm like, dude, did I will this into existence? You know, so it was just fun. It's just fun to see, you know.
I think that must have been at least going through your head a little bit. Like, that's like more than justified.
Yeah, and like, there's actually a lot of things in Superstars that I think in a lot of ways are similar to Triple Trouble. They're similar ideas. And I don't think for a second they were looking at my game for ideas. I think it's more so that we were both looking at the same source material and saying, what can we do to, where would this go from here? And we kind of came to similar conclusions, which is very validating for me because that's like an official game. And we were sort of, operating on the same wavelength. Like, I think our menus have a similar, someone pointed out the menus between both games have a similar aesthetic and stuff. There's actually, this is what really hit me. There's an idea that I had for Triple Trouble that I wanted to do. I couldn't figure out. And then Superstars does it. And I went, that's how you would do it. I get it now. Great. And that's, I wanted to have a bonus stage where instead of Sonic being the ball in a pinball like he normally is, he was going to be the ball inside a game of Breakout. If you know that old,
so the Sky Temple stage, right?
Yes, the Sky Temple change. They make Sonic into a Breakout game real quick. And what I was missing was the little sort of wire at the bottom that you oscillate back and forth on. That's what makes it work. Without it, it didn't make sense, and I couldn't figure it out. And also, they have more camera space to deal with, too, so that makes it easier. But, it's teabag on them. But, that was one of the ideas where I'm like, that's what I was trying to do. And they got it first, so that felt really validating.
Oh, I can imagine. So how do you feel about the game in general, then?
I haven't beat Superstars yet. I'm still playing through it.
Ah, interesting. How are you finding it so far?
Yeah, I'm not a guy that plays a game and beats it all in one day. I usually like to space it out and make it last a long time. But
I used to like doing that, but then you two ruined everything.
Yeah. And if you mash the jump button in midair, you can do tricks off the ramps. But,
okay.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, how do I feel about Superstars? So, yeah, so far I'm having a good time. I think it's got a lot of ideas going, a lot of inventions. Not inventions. Inventiveness is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of mixed feelings on the boss fights. So far, the boss fights I've had have been pretty positive. What I like about them is that they do seem more original than I think a lot of Sonic boss fights have been in years.
Yeah.
There's just maybe a little too much waiting, I think, for some people's taste. But there is, what was I going to say about the boss fights? Yeah, with Sonic boss fights, usually in classic Sonic, you're able to just wail on the boss the entire time.
Yes.
Like you can theoretically always hit the boss. You just, maybe it's not always advisable. Where Superstar is very much like a wait for your opportunity.
Yeah.
Which is a very common way to design boss fights.
And they give them iframes as well. Like,
yeah.
I think
it's just not very common for Sonic. But I understand why they did it, because I'll be telling you right now, when you try to design a boss that can be hit at any time, it's actually really hard to come up with boss fights that way. It's so much easier to do it the way they did it in Superstars. But I think in the future they can improve upon it and allow more opportunities for hits and less waiting and that type of thing. But
I reckon they probably did this also to accommodate for the fact that, like, it's one thing if just Sonic can wail on it, but, like, they've designed a lot of this game around being a multiplayer experience. So it's like, if you had 4 players at once, all being able to wail on a boss with an infinite window of opportunity, it would just
ends instantly.
It'd be over.
Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense why they did it. It also makes sense why some people aren't super thrilled about it. But, yeah, I think there is room to be improved for the future. And I hope that they do. I hope that they don't backpedal in a bad way and get the wrong message. Because a lot of times, I heard something... this is a good lesson for anyone that's interested in doing anything creative, whether it's game design or filmmaking. Bill Hader, what's his show on Netflix? I can't remember. It's like somebody, Barry? I think it's his name.
I think so.
Yeah, he was talking about writing, like screenwriting. And he was saying that whenever people give him advice, they're like, I don't like this part. You should do this instead. He says that... they're always right that something's wrong, but their suggestion is always incorrect. Basically, it's like whenever they say, hey, this part doesn't work, that is right. That part should be fixed. but whatever they suggest to fix it is usually way off base. And so I think you see that a lot with games sometimes as well, where things get lost in translation. People are saying, hey, this sucks for XY reasons, and it's like, maybe that's not why it's bad, but we can't deny that you are feeling something there that is negative. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I mean, it could also boil down to sometimes the feedback is coming from someone that's not necessarily seeing the vision or meeting it on its terms, you know? So while they might have a point that, yes, this is something that can be criticized, their idea isn't necessarily something that bodes right with the... I think we saw a good amount of that with the Sonic Frontiers DLC, where there were some fair criticisms or fair ideas that were like, you know, the parry doesn't require any skill to use, it's just this infinite time thing. So then, responding to that feedback, they did that whole timed parry thing with the boss fights, but they're boss fights where it's clearly not designed. It's designed to have, like, a wind-up time on it. So, I think that's another example of, like, we can see that it's not a great thing that the game allowed us so much time to parry these attacks, but doing it that way wasn't it, if you get me.
Yeah, it's. I think the best example is music. There's a lot of people I see that have opinions on like Sonic music, particularly like recent Sonic music. But I mean, they're not wrong to criticize, right? Everyone has their own opinions. Music's very subjective, but usually the terms they're using to criticize it usually don't make sense if you understand music, and that's fine. If you don't understand music, you don't maybe have the proper terms to critique it, but that can be frustrating if you're the person in charge of taking in consumer feedback and translating it when stuff is lost in translation like that.
Yeah, like when people were saying, oh yeah, they're using like Genesis sound fonts on like Sonic Superstars, and it's not. They've literally gone and got the actual synthesizer thing to imply they used a sound font is like, it would be incredibly lazy by comparison, you know? It's undermining the task.
You said my trigger word, which is sound font.
Yep.
I've heard that word used correctly maybe twice in my life.
It's probably because these are probably folks that are, you know, making their own Genesis music and doing so using a sound font, but probably don't realize that that just is not how it's done in the industry.
No, it's even worse. Is that people don't... I've never used a sound font file before. They don't know what it is. They think that sound font just means the sound of an instrument, right? In the same way that a font is the shape of letters and text that you see, they think that sound font just means the shape of the timbre of tone that you hear on a synthesized instrument. And that's not the case. And, you know, it's fine if people don't know it. I understand where it's coming from, but boy, do we throw that term around a lot incorrectly.
Yeah.
I love this 3D effect coming up here. I had to work so hard to get all the stages to transition seamlessly into each other.
The water, right?
Yeah, and then the roof coming up here as well.
Oh, that is badass.
Well, thank you.
So we have got a couple of super chats just to read. We've got Otis Small with $2. Hey, Channel, it's me, your boy. He knows I don't want to be called Channel. He's just a meanie. We've got Media... Oh, man, it's cut off the name. What? Hang on, let's see if I can fix that. I can't fix that. For now, you're just Media Moo. $2. Which game would you choose that wasn't triple? So I'm guessing this one's for you. If you were to choose another Sonic game to adapt, what would kind of be your first pick?
Well, you know, I think there's a lot of cool ones out there. I think just so we're clear, none of this is me saying I'm going to make these games, because people do ask me that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have enough time to. I can't do another, 5 years of making. Of
course, fully understood
games.
That.
But I think Tales of Adventures would be really cool to see.
You hear that, guys? He's gonna do Tales Adventure.
Ah, God. So, because it's just, it's a Metroidvania starring Tails. How cool is that? Like, let's see that,
It's a fun concept, isn't it?
Yeah. I think there's, I think, Sonic Chaos is cool. I hope that A+ Start is able to finish his remake sometime. I think Sonic Drift would be really cool to see. 16-bit.
We already have
as
that,
well.
though. It's called Team Sonic Racing. That's a
In
16-bit game, right?
Now you sound like a tweet trying to
My bad. I
failing
meant
to
Sonic
understand.
Freeriders.
There you go. Now you're all right.
Gas and oil now. Sorry,
Yeah.
just completely cut you off for the sake of some nonsense there.
But no, yeah, I think that would be my answer. In terms of like, I assume they mean like 8-bit Sonic games. Oh, did you get beat? Ow, that fang!
I hate my life. Let's give it another go.
But you got plenty of coins, man. He sniped in at the last second.
He's a meanie.
There is the Tales Adventure remake of the Progress. Oh yeah, I have seen that. Yeah, that one feels more like I guess in my head I was picturing like a reimagining, like basically like this, like an AM2R version of, Tales Adventure. But there is like a remake that is very like I think more on the remaster side is my understanding, which is pretty cool.
Has anyone ever thought to do like a 16-bit version of Sonic 2 with actual difficulty balancing? As in 8-bit
I don't think I've
Sonic
ever
2.
seen that. Yeah, so basically it just looks like a mod of Mega Drive Sonic 2, but with the level themes of the Game Gear.
Yeah, the themes, the overall concept that if you don't get all the emeralds, Tails ices it. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, you gotta
I
have
guess.
Tails' death.
But again, with actual difficulty balancing that is made for humans to play and not robots programmed specifically to understand what the game wants you to do.
That's some very strong feelings.
It hurt me, alright? It hurt my pride. It hurt my self-esteem. All things that pertain to that. Oh god, what have I done? Aha! Okay, that was fair.
All right.
Right, Knack, play
Better
nice
hurry.
this
He's
time.
coming up behind you.
Wait, I think that.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got
okay, that was clutch.
get on you, mate.
Hell yeah. All right, so we got Jamal Simmons,
I
our
know.
pal Jamal, with $2. Happy B Theory Weekend, Milk Bro Forever, Wallace. There's a lot of lore to that. That's gonna just come off like gobbledygook to you, but
I wouldn't have it any other way.
there's a lot of lore there, a lot of deep lore. But thank you, our pal Jamal. And then have we got another? Oh yes, the bubbles. Reading and playing at the same time.
Tails being upside down.
Yeah. You look so silly. So where have you gotten up to in Superstars then? Like what level are you on?
I just finished the first boss fight it's the first boss fight that frustrated me, and it was a sand boss fight where Eggman's in the background.
Ah, okay.
Apparently you have to like throw some penguins back at him or something.
Yeah.
Throw some badniks. Yeah, I looked it up because I was just sitting there forever going like, how am I supposed to throw this back at him? Like how am I supposed to hit him? I didn't know. I never would have thought you would have thrown him back at it because basic Sonic rules is you hit a badnik and it explodes.
True,
And there's
yeah.
and that exact type of badnik, I'm pretty sure you've hit earlier in the stage and it exploded. Had no idea why now I was expected to know that it would throw.
Well,
so
that particular
I thought that was a
badnik
little weird.
is kind of like Sonic Superstars' equivalent to the slices from Metropolis in that they are what I call bitch badniks. Because
Oh, you have that patented.
I might as well try. It's actually my first time saying it. But so their little tummy tums are like the sensitive part of them, I get. Or well, it can be their head.
What?
They flip between their heads and their little tum tums. And they have their
Did
little.
you say tummy tum?
Yeah, I said tummy tums. I'm speaking of them affectionately because
Okay.
they are little. But
Okay.
okay, so they've got these drill arms, and sometimes they point them down, and sometimes they point them up, and so their hitbox changes from the top to the bottom, basically. So when Robotnik sends one flying at you, their little tum-tum is exposed, and that's the part you have to hit back at him. You have to hit them before they go throwing their drills down, but I can understand why you wouldn't immediately think to... Because on first playthrough, I didn't do that. I just waited for him to appear, and I thought, wow, this is just like Sonic 4 Episode 2. But I was quite happy when I found out that I could do that. The bosses are so experimental in that game, and I don't think all of it works. I won't reveal what it is, but there is a boss coming up that is just too long.
Yeah. Speaking of too long, have more patience with these fans, man.
I'm sorry.
You gotta get a little closer. Gotta wait. Gotta let
Like
it
this?
cook for a second.
Ah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
You gotta feel that tension. There you go.
I'm an idiot. Listen, I play Sonic to deal with my crippling ADHD, okay? Like, I'm not the kind of guy that knows how to wait for a fan.
Yeah, there was a there's a so have you played with Knuckles
Yeah,
in this game yet?
not yet.
Not yet. Okay. There's a little there's a mechanic in Sunset Park with Knuckles where it's just a block where you have to push up against the block to for like a second and then it moves out of the way, right?
Yeah.
It's like on a timer. On launch day, Arctic and what's his name? HUD 601 and Rummy, they were speedrunners that were doing a 3-way speed race on the game, which is really fun. And they were having a good time, but you know, speedrunners are all about impatience because they got to go fast.
Right.
So they one of them got to that part with Knuckles. They pushed against the block and they said, "Noah, your game's broken. It's not working. I'm soft lock. I'm stuck." I'm like, dude, you gotta wait just a few frames longer. And so I patched it to make it a shorter wait time because I'm like, wow, if it's long enough to where people are thinking it's a soft lock, then I guess I can make that quicker. So I did.
Is it this?
Pop yourself. There you go.
I'm glad I didn't take that the wrong way, because I wouldn't exist anymore. Alright, let's go. That was a dark joke.
It did. It got real dark real fast. Yeah. Dang. She's a little Bully McGuire action over here.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your bubble.
Like the dirty bubble?
Wish moving. Captain Magma.
The dirty bubble.
Dirty bubble. What was the name of the other one? The one with the little fingers on his head.
Man Ray?
That's the one. Yeah. Am I going the right way? I feel...
Yep.
Okay.
Gotta go down. This part is almost straight from the OG game.
It's like some kind of labyrinth.
Yeah. So what is this? Some kind of tidal plant?
We are dealing with triple trouble this time, Tails. Oh. This is so 90s.
Have you played this special stage yet?
Again,
have patience.
Okay.
You want the rings. There you go.
I feel like there's like
this
that... That Bruce Lee flow with what is quote is just going through my head right now.
It is very 90s. That background you're seeing right now, that is based off of... I was watching Goosebumps. The 90s Goosebumps.
Okay, yeah,
in some episode, some kid had bed sheets with that design on them.
That's so inspired.
And I'm like, we got to do it. So, yeah, a lot of stuff in this game, I was like looking at just things from the 90s that weren't necessarily Sonic to try to make it feel as 90s as possible.
That's
like I would watch like minutes and I like watch hours one time of like 90s commercials for like toys and stuff that you would see on Nickelodeon and stuff, just to try to like what were brands doing with their logos and their backgrounds, you know. I think that's evident in all the trailers we did that have a very 90s aesthetic. Did you see like the fake magazine ads we did for this game?
No, I haven't seen those. I love that idea.
Yeah, I have to show them to you, but they're basically like they're trying to look like 90s, you know, in your face advertisements and stuff. There's one with Knack with a gun, his pop gun pointed at the viewer with the barrel like right in your face.
That's the most threatening idea for an advertisement I've heard since I saw like the Toy Story 1 video game commercial where it's just Woody yelling "play the game" at you.
Yeah, see? Exactly. That's what ads were back then.
Ads were threatening.
Yeah, they were over the top. And so yeah, we tried to promote the game. We did that, you know, and we did our tie-in comic as well, which was really fun. So much
of like Sonic has always been in the marketing as well.
Oh yeah, gotta blast that process. I said that backwards, but yes.
You got it. It's okay.
Yes, you know what I mean. Did you see the tie-in comic we did?
No. I feel like a fake fan now. Like I need to see this stuff.
Yes, I'm leaving this podcast now. I'm so angry.
Oh man,
but
it's not the first time that's happened. No, it would be. I'm a very cordial host. Don't worry.
We did a 3-page comic book to promote the game with some very talented artists who I put it together. It's kind of last minute, but we got together and just divided up the work, and it sets up Knuckles, Eggman, and Knack what they're doing before this game starts. It like gives them context to that. So it shows Knack being hired by some client to try to track down the emeralds and that type of thing.
Man, you really were doing the whole Superstars thing before Superstars.
Dude, we were, man. He was Fang the Hunter. He was literally hunting. So this background is actually based off of Tails' Adventure.
Okay. So which part are we talking about, like the Parallax background in the back?
All of it, actually.
Oh, all of it.
Well, really, it's probably more the foreground. The background is a little more Rice Star-like. But yeah, the Sea Fox, which the submarine was original to the OG Triple Trouble, but it was also in Tails' Adventure. So I wanted a section where you got the Sea Fox, and I said, well, let's go out into the ocean, outside of the plant. Let's make it look like that level from Tails' Adventure. So, and also, too, guys, let's be honest. Water levels, that's one thing I will compliment Superstars on. The water level, there's a water level that's pretty good in there. I don't remember what it's called, but its music sounds like
Lagoon City.
Yeah. Water levels are really hard to get right in Sonic.
Yeah. I think more often than not, to be fair, they succeed, but
it's not easy. So Act 1 of this stage, I managed to try my hardest to get what I think is a decent water level, and then I was so out of ideas, and I'm like, screw it. We're going into the submarine, and we're just going to have a shoot 'em up for Act 2. And it's just going to be... We're just going to do that, and I ended up really loving it, because I think this is a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I was about to say, something
totally
I really appreciate about this one is that it is possible that, like, I know that there's a lot of people that really resent it when a game yoinks you out of the Sonic playstyle, but if you're playing the game continuously, you can get fatigued at a certain point. And having something like this in here is just a nice pace breaker. You know, like, I found the same about that 3D snowboarding section as well. That was a nice little pace breaker, too. I think it's always good when a Sonic game is able to keep things consistently fresh. Because there is, even with Sonic games I really like, there is often a point where I stop giving a shit. Like, for me, like, I'm not even thinking about where I'm going, am I? For
Bottom
me,
left.
Left. Okay. For me, like, Mania is a prime example. Once I get to Flying Battery, I stop caring. I'm kind of like, you gave me Studiopolis, and that was amazing, and now we're kind of back in a level that just kind of feels very been there, done that for me, you know? And
it's a feeling of fatigue, and that was what I did want to break the pace for that, and I'm glad you think so, because, yeah, I have had some people tell me, like, how dare he? You think I want to play a dumb submarine game in my, all caps, classic Sonic game? And I'm like,
you nailed
shut
it.
up, dude. It's just one act. We just want a little pace breaker. It's all good, man.
I like it.
Like, put down the axe. It's okay.
It offers a little variety. It offers a little more low-stakes stuff. I don't have to worry about, like, getting drowned. What am I saying? Drowning.
Yeah, and after a water level, it's kind of empowering to just get missiles and a drill, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's a little power trip, you know? I'm being ignorant here, aren't I? He's gonna do something that's gonna open him up. Okay. You!
Oh!
My fake friend! Ah! See, what kind of friend does that?
I love that in, like, cartoons and movies when, like, a big villain comes up, and then the villain dies, and it's the other villain behind him. Hey, what's that? You mean it was Metal Sonic the whole time?
You thought I was Knuckles, but I am actually Metal Bamboozle.
Heck yeah. So now you know why Knuckles' theme has Metal Sonic's melody in it, except it goes up the scale instead of down the scale. Now you know why the color of his, like, burst punch is yellow instead of red. It all makes sense now.
No, it's honestly kind of clever how, like, the first time I did it, I didn't predict it, but I did notice, a little bit of Metal Sonic going on here in this theme.
Hidden in plain sight, I see.
You left your breadcrumbs to the crime, but I found out.
Yeah, so some people did sort of go, hey, that kind of sounds like Metal Sonic's theme, but I'm really proud to say I don't think a single soul guessed it. I kept this plot twist hidden for 5 years. It was the first thing I came up with when I said I was going to remake the game, was that Knuckles is Metal Sonic in disguise. No one caught it. I had a couple people say, I bet it's actually Metal Knuckles in disguise, or Robot Knuckles, but no one thought it would be Metal Sonic, so...
Right overall idea. Wrong conclusion.
Yes, yeah. So I was proud that we actually managed to keep it unspoiled. In fact, dude, like, I'm telling you, man, like, any files referencing the transformation, I would remove from the files of the game whenever I'd make a demo, just in case somebody tried to data mine it, they wouldn't find it. You know, it's just like, I was adamant about keeping that secret.
Noah does what Sega don't, apparently. Because the entirety of, like, Update 3 got leaked from Update 2's files for Frontiers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier for me with such a small game to just remove just one little transformation sprite.
Yeah, it's the difference between, like, a passion project as well, and a thing that requires like severe deadlines and stuff. I mean, I don't know, did you set a deadline for yourself on this? I know that you said, like, you thought you could get it done in, like, a couple of months, but, did you have a point where you were like, I gotta release this on this date?
Yeah, it was when I said, hey guys, the game's coming out on, August 2nd, 2022. The game was not done when I said that. I was like, guys, I am losing my mind. I hate this game now. I just want to get it done. It's almost done. I think if I just say it's coming out on this date, then I'm going to... life will find a way for me to get this done. And yeah, we did. And, I was cramming, like studying for a test the night before, but at that point I didn't know there was any other way to get it done. And dude, I just want to say thanks to you and everyone that's been so positive about the game. I think I'm really lucky how just positive the reception has been. People tell me the game's great. They've had a lot of fun with it. Because I tell you, the night before, when you've been working on something in relative isolation, with a small team for 5 years, and it's almost about to be done, and you kind of, were cramming at the last minute, making sure you didn't forget something. You're so nervous. I was literally on the floor while the game is compiling, because it takes like 20 minutes for the whole thing to compile. And it's like the 5th time I've compiled that day, because I'd compile, find a crash, and then have to recompile. I'm down to the wire. I'm on the floor, like, clenching my stomach, like, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm so nervous. Oh gosh, we're going to hate it, and that type of thing. So when I woke up the next day and just had flooded DMs, flooded, notifications and emails from just people saying, I just played the game, it's great. The first thing I remember seeing when I woke up the next morning was just somebody had sent me, it's a picture of the credits. And it's the credits that you only see if you 100% complete the game.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. I released the game at midnight my time, went to bed, and then woke up and somebody's already 100%ed it. It was pretty crazy and pretty awesome. So I'm so grateful for that.
Oh, 100%, but you put the work in, evidently. Like...
I definitely worked a lot on it.
Yeah, it's got the positive response it deserves, I'd say. Like, can I get?
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, did you ever have to kind of wrangle with, like, kind of falling out of love with the project as well? Like, because as someone who does, like, film and stuff as well, like, I constantly battle with that. Or sometimes the project starts to feel bigger than you are, and it's like, can I do this?
Yeah, I think if you're working on something creative and if you don't hate it by the end of it, you probably haven't worked hard enough on it yet.
Next time someone tells me they're proud of something they've done, I'm going to assume it's bad.
Yeah, well, it comes back after the fact, right?
Yeah.
Like, it goes in waves. I saw a chart that I resonated with so hard. It says the creative cycle, and it shows like a arc that's pointing up, and it says, we are so back. And then it shows a arc pointing down. It says, it is so over. And then it says, we are so back. It is so over. It just back and forth over and over again. And I'm like, that is the creative cycle, 100%.
This is crazy. Like this right here is nuts. That little cylinder.
The tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's inspired by a Mickey Mania.
Ah, okay.
There's a rotating castle. Another John Burton reference.
Okay. Also, love the fact that you use the Sonic the Fighters Metal Sonic theme here as well, because shortly before I'd played this, I just had a buddy over, and we had gone on basically Sonic the Fighters just for a bit of a multiplayer experience, basically.
Nice.
And it was the first time I'd played Sonic the Fighters, but one of the things I noted was the Metal Sonic theme kind of slaps. And so when I got to this bit, I was like, whoa, it's that! I only just heard this for the first time a few days ago. So I was I was a very happy chappy.
Yeah, I think it's a good theme. There's 4 different Metal Sonic themes melded together in this theme. Can you name them all, Channel Pup?
I can name at least 2 of them. There is... Oh, no, I can name 3. There's both the versions of Stardust Speedway. The American and the Japanese. And then you've also obviously got the Sonic the Fighters Death Egg 2 track. I'm trying to think what else there could be. Unfortunately, I've got the volume pretty low on my end just for the sake of being able to hear you.
It's so good. It's really quick. It's only at the intro. There's these little, like, mechanical sounds at the start.
Is there any chance that this is purely by guesswork now? Is there any chance you've done the Sonic 4 thing?
The Sonic 4 theme?
Yeah.
No. I considered it at the time, but it was a little too much of an anachronism for me.
Sure.
It's Metal Sonic's theme from the original Triple Trouble.
Ah, okay.
Which is, the most obvious. I'm like, well, I have to reference the OG somehow.
You know why that makes sense is because I don't remember the actual Metal Sonic Triple Trouble track.
Yeah, because it's kind of not good. If I may be so bold, it's very noisy and cacophonous.
Damn.
Like, go look it up sometime, man. The Metal Sonic theme in the original Triple Trouble, I was just listening to that, I'm like, how in the world am I going to make sense out of this on a Genesis sound chip? So I just said, screw it, we're doing a medley. But I threw in a little bit of that theme still, so it's still in there. The DNA is still there, but yeah. It's a similar thing with the original special stage theme. I didn't have a clue how I was gonna, for the Purple Palace, how I was gonna do that. It was really hard to translate that to Genesis. I still haven't heard anyone do that yet. That's the only song that is, I think, from the original Triple Trouble that's not referenced in this game in any way.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff where it's just so much more aggressively passionate than it needs to be as well. When I'm just playing, I'm like, calm down, Noah. It doesn't have to be that good. It's just a boss theme. Calm down. To be fair, though, as much as I love Sonic Superstars and as much as I love Junsen no I'm so stupid. As much as I love that combination, the boss theme in Sonic Superstars, what the hell happened there?
Yeah, it feels a little weird.
It's like a 15-second loop, and it just... I don't know music terminology, but like if I were to describe it, it just goes down.
It just goes down.
It's a scale, right? It's a downward scale, I guess. And
just descending.
Yeah, just a descending downward. Yeah, descending. Yeah. I'm getting verbal diarrhea. It's ridiculous. But we're getting there.
We're getting there, Chief.
Tails, you're gonna take care of the rest of this.
Dude, Tails is a champ in this stage. Like, a lot of people have a lot of frustration with this stage, but a lot of those people refuse to switch to Tails. And I'm like, he really helps you guys. Like, just utilize your tools.
Let him in. Let your
this
son
stage has been
into your life.
This stage has been patched multiple times because I wanted to make it really challenging. Because, dude, before launch, so many people were telling me the game's good. It's just a little too easy. It's just too easy. And apparently those are all just people trying to brag, because then I made this level. It's like, all right, well, I'll give you something really challenging. And then all the normal people that weren't braggarts played it and said, oh my gosh, you masochist. What is this, Dark Souls? So I patched this level so many times to make it a lot easier. Like, a second, you're supposed to come up on see those rings right there?
Yeah.
Those are not in the launch version. So just a lot of stuff like putting rings in places where they weren't before just gives people a little stuff.
So it goes to show here that dick waving isn't helpful.
Yes, those spinning little orbits right there. That's the only spot that those are in the game. And that's because they were originally in an older version of this level were in a lot more spots. It was originally going to be more of a used mechanic. But I ended up changing the level a lot, removing it, and then those ended up being left over in the only spot that they're there is there, and I didn't realize that that's the only spot they're in there. And so now they just kind of seem random.
Damn. I'm going to take
It's
it
kind of
so
like, what are
easy
those
now.
here?
Got no rings. Just going to take it real... Ah.
Did you get the rings on the left, or you used those already?
I think I used them. I've forgotten which way I went. Oh, I went... The arrows. The arrows tell me which way I went. That's... Ah, okay, thank you. I can actually...
You're welcome.
How often do you get to play a game and thank the person that made it for providing you with a bit of information? This is surreal. This is nutty. I love how energetic the music in this stage is as well.
Yeah, so this is a track I did not do. This one was done by DV2, if you've ever seen his YouTube channel where he does a lot of Genesis remixes and stuff.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, check him out, because he called it his magnum opus. He worked real hard on this, and when it came out, I think it's incredible. Like, he did a really good job.
Yeah, wise guy. Oh, okay. Alright. No, it's got such a fun energy to it that isn't typical of these final zones.
Pivik in chat says that bearded guy is quite handsome, not gonna lie. So, thanks, Pivik. How you doing, bud?
Hey, you do what you gotta do. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot, Noah.
Shoot your shot, you know?
Come. Oh, boy.
Now, Pivik helped us with the Brazilian Portuguese translation on this game.
Ah, what a champ. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool to see other people that worked on this in here then.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough. I'm gonna need all the tails I can get.
Rebel Right is also in here as well.
I'm gonna cry.
Rebel Right did a song on the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah? Which one is it?
Or wait. I actually may have just said something really stupid. Did you work on it? I think I'm getting you mixed up with someone else. Alright, well that's embarrassing. Forget everything I just said.
There's a lot of deceptions going on in the chat. Oh, come on, man. There's a lot of deceptions going on. When I say stuff like, oh, come on, man, that's not me trying to lambast you, by the way. That is just me reasoning with a challenge, like I often do.
It's all good.
There are so many times I'm, like, confronted with difficulty. I'm like, okay, listen, just listen, alright? Alright, we got you, you little duck. Alright. I don't know if that was a duck or not. I might have just got that completely wrong, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is either, but we'll say it's a duck.
My brother in Christ, you made the game.
I didn't make those enemies.
Touché.
Those were from the original game, so... There's a lot of stuff in here. This was a challenge.
See, I need to look at it. Oh, I really...
Oh, okay. Yes, Rebel Right. Okay, it confused me because his name's Rebel Right Music. Rebel Right did work on the game, but he didn't do music. He play tested the Mac version for me. That's what he did.
Ah,
yes.
Okay. Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, my apologies for getting confused there.
Also, I just need to quickly acknowledge that on those crushing platforms, I really like how those little stripe indent things have that 3D effect again.
Yes, that was Joshi Flip was the artist that made that, and I really appreciated it when he gave it he said, like, if this really was Sonic 3D or Sonic 3 follow-up, they'd try to do they'd render it in 3D software and then put it in game, and I'm like, yes, they would, and so thank you for doing that.
So outside the box. Alright, where are we at? Let's see, what do we got here? Ah, okay, this should be simple enough. Nope. Okay. Alright. Oh, they are ducks, kinda. They're a bird.
There's a lot of stuff in this game where I'm looking at the Game Gear version and be like, what is that supposed to be? How do I make that? Like, I was like, what are those frog egg looking things supposed to be in Meta Junglera Zone? You know, it's just like stuff like that.
I suppose, yeah, that is the thing of converting like something like this is like there's going to be a lot of guesswork. I reckon they probably had to do a lot of that for things like the Spyro Reignited trilogy as well, where like these characters were just previously low poly, just mutations.
Yeah, like the kangaroo girl, they gave her like a little like a safari vest or something.
They gave her
in the
a
OG,
design.
she's just like naked. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. No, wait. There's a thing here. There's a.
Mm-hmm.
That is
this is a
Doom stuff right there.
It's a fake 3D effect I saw in the Genesis game Ranger X, and so I'm like, well, we gotta use that effect in some way in this game. So we did.
Really makes me think. What if they made a Sonic game where you could move forward? It would probably be bad.
In 3D? Oh, it'd never work. I bet it would be a rough transition. All right, I just will say, Tails is your friend here.
Okay.
Let me just speak that into the universe.
Tails betrayed me.
Don't
and
fly
by
up
proxy,
into the.
You have betrayed me.
Don't fly up blindly into the space which spikes are coming from. But yes.
Look, I'm
Tails is
ignorant.
just
Okay,
handy.
I have an excuse. Okay. Ring, please. Ring. Okay, listen.
Dang, you had to wait for an opportunity. What is this, Superstars?
What is this, a game?
Okay, so there should be some rings coming for you. There you
Hell
are.
yeah. Ah!
Don't kill it, just fly. Yep. See, that's why Tails is good. Resist the urge to murder, and you'll have an easier time.
I am positively homicidal when it comes to my gaming experiences. This is tough.
All right, go to the right. Jump on the platforms. They're one way. This is a very
unique
tough
as well.
part.
This is very unique.
This is inspired by... Okay, there you go. Whew, getting a heart attack. This is inspired by Shinobi 3. There's an elevator section like this. There you go. Nice. Slow and steady. All right. So you just hit an invisible checkpoint, so if you die, you'll start right back at this spot.
Oh, fantastic. This really is better than Superstars.
This was, yeah, those invisible checkpoints were not in the launch version, but I did add them because a lot of people hate this section. And so I was like, well, hate is not the emotion I was going for, so I guess I could probably fix that.
It means you've made an impression at the very least.
Yeah, not the impression I wanted, so I patched it to make it a little more enjoyable for everybody. And this cutscene right here of Knack, being stupid, I think that's great for next character. But a lot of people, after clearing that section, that previous section that frustrates them so much, they have zero patience for it. They're like, Knack, get out of here. I don't want to see your cute little enemy. So it kind of sucks. But, lessons learned.
Mean. Alright, Act 2 done.
All right, you about to beat this game for the first time? Is that what's happening right now?
I only ever got
live on
final
there
boss before. This might be very interesting. Oh boy. Yep, bouncy fella, I recognize you. You start off so unsuspecting.
Tails is also really good in this fight, in my opinion. Well, I guess it depends on your playstyle, but I always prefer Tails.
Okay. Wait. Slow and steady.
Wins the race.
Interesting.
The Sonic Machina.
No, get the... Oh, boy. Alright, no one ever said this was supposed to be easy. Looks like toffee popcorn coming out of there.
Yeah, that fire sprite is pretty close to the OG.
It looks good. I'm just someone who always sees food in everything I see because I'm a fat bastard. We did an episode where we did a retrospective on Sonic 1, actually, and I was saying how Spring Yard always made me think of chocolate. Because of, A, there's its color scheme, which is purple, and in the UK, the dominant chocolate bar is called a Dairy Milk, and it comes in purple packaging. I think you've probably seen it.
Oh, really? I don't think I have.
Oh, damn. It tastes good. I don't know what your opinion of Hershey's is, but it's not that.
Okay.
But, And then there's also just these bits where they've got these brown walls with this bubble sort of indent in them, which reminds me of something called an aero bar. I don't know if you have that over there, but it's like a chocolate bar with bubbles in it as well. Appeal of that. So, yeah, I associate a lot of things with food, and I think that's where this popcorn comparison's coming from.
See, what you're doing good right now is a good strategy, right? Hit him and then getting way out of the way. That's how you do it right there.
Sweet. I feel rewarded.
You gotta be ready. Don't get hit by that. Don't get hit with the fire. Oh, got hit.
Too late.
Right next to the checkpoint.
It's okay. I got this.
Just watching
I feel
dog
confident.
heading towards the highway, and there's nothing I could do.
Just a little stray cat followed by an ambulance.
Yep.
That's it. You take your fart machine elsewhere. All right, we move.
Got him. Boom. Roasted him.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
It's ring. It's ring. Ah.
Oh, this is a way of doing it.
Probably not the best way.
Come here.
Oof.
Oh, come on,
Yeah,
Sonic.
you're
Oh,
spinning.
my king. My fella.
Ugh.
My dude. Where did it go? It's there. Get it. Get it. Get. Yes.
Whew.
We're making it out of 2023 with this one.
Watch out for the thing. Oh well, you still
know
got
what?
the checkpoint.
I think this is as far as I've ever got.
All right, 14 lives to spare. All right, don't get crushed. Don't get nuked.
Wait, 14 lives? I thought these were just coins.
14 coins, whatever. Yeah, you're not gonna get a game over, so you're fine.
Okay, good. As a millennial gamer, nothing scares me more than getting game over.
I understand.
Oh! Ah!
Get out of there.
Yay! Okay, right. What's he cooking this time? What do we got here? He's not kidding. He's got all the inventions now. Oh.
This song was done by John Tay, if you know who that is.
Name doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
With apologies to John Tay. Oh, they're gonna be best buddies. Yep. Oh, that little smile on the sprite there. That's so nice.
Yeah, I love that. Senpai Star, I think, is the one that made this handshake sprite. She was great.
Oh, I did it.
There you go.
Hey,
Hey,
that's
look, there I
you.
am,
That's
Gary,
your
there I
name.
am.
They must have known who you were.
It's very nice of people that made this game to put me in the credits.
That is
as
an
the
awesome
director.
last name as well. Light years. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, D was. Those are all the talented artists that helped me on this. D was there probably from the start. There's Motor Roach. Worked on Ninja Turtles.
Tiniest turtle. Oh my goodness, that's cute.
Flapper from Sonic Studio.
This is why I love fan games. You don't just get normal names at the end of these. You get like awesome names like Iron Skarmory 676.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta get the numbers at the end.
Well, this was top tier. There's John Tay, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And all the talented people that worked on it.
What a great job you all did as well. Just let me just say that right now. What a goddamn good game.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's a lot of work.
Man, his arm must be getting tired from all that pointing. What does he see? What has he found?
Station Square.
The prequel.
Pretty cool.
Per3 Drew. That's awesome.
Yep, that's how he spells it.
Man,
Yeah,
I
there's,
love the
people
Sage
that-
stuff. Whenever Sage comes around, I know I'm getting some good stuff.
There's the people that worked on all the tie-in comic book for us.
That's awesome. Reggie?
Shaggy. Yep, it's just straight up has Shaggy from Scooby-Doo as his profile pic. So
That's awesome.
that's our translators. The game's available in like 10 languages, which is really cool.
That's badass.
Yeah, I just wanted the game to be in Brazilian or Brazilian Portuguese because I had a lot of commenters from Brazil that would post comments on like my YouTube videos and stuff. So I was like, okay, let's translate it in their language. And then after that, I got people like, hey, can I put it in Spanish? Hey, can I put it in German? Hey, can I put it in Thai? I'm like, yes. And so all of the, like, I don't speak any language other than English. So every one of those translations was done by someone else that just reached out to me, was like, can I do this? And I'm like, absolutely you can. There's Rebel, right? But yeah, I think that's really, really, really cool.
It's so awesome when, like, you know, communities come together to do that. Rockstar, right. So what's going on here? Is that just someone who does a lot of rock music?
So that was, Alex worked really hard to help me find a lot of bugs and really optimize the game, both for the Android version and also right before the initial release. He was very, very helpful, and he gets Rockstar credit because, well, he lives in Ukraine, and he was helping me with the game in the middle of a war. You know,
that is the supreme badass.
Yes, he's like, you know, he'd be like, hey, sorry I didn't get this code to you earlier. Our power went out, but here it is now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you know, you don't have to do this. He's like, no, I want to. I want to help.
Jesus,
you know,
to be living through these horrors, man. Like, jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, if you're in the middle of a war and your country is, and you're still contributing to the game, yeah, you get a special title.
Justified.
So I really appreciated everything he did, because he helped even without that context. But his contributions were great, and then you throw in the fact that it was in less than ideal circumstances. It just meant a lot.
Absolutely. What kind of playstyle for Amy would you consider to be the definitive one for Sonic Triple Trouble?
Of the three?
Yeah, because I've got it set to Superstars right now.
Yeah, so I like the Sonic 3 Air one a lot because it's really bouncy and stuff. Though it gets a little chaotic.
Okay, give that a try.
I think Superstars is also fun because it's got the double jump plus the hammer rush type thing. Which, by the way, you know, we didn't have, the only footage we had of Superstars when I made this update to include Amy was off camera footage of the game at like Jeff Keighley's event thing. And so I was just taking video of that and putting it in a video editor, going frame by frame and trying to figure out, all right, how does this moveset work? And I think we got pretty close.
It feels about the same, yeah. Like, I'm not noticing any major difference here. I think the thing that will be the teller will be if... Okay, the hammer rush lasts a little less long, I guess, but that's about it.
See, it's based on speed.
Okay.
Here, when the actual game Superstars is based on time.
Yeah.
Which was a misinterpretation of the footage on my part. I knew there was some sort of limitation to it. I thought it was based on, like, I think speed instead of time. I don't know. It's been it was a lot of back and forth trying to figure that out. But
on its own merits, it absolutely works. Like,
yeah, it's still a fun play style, even if it's not exactly Superstars. But you know, when I was trying to figure it out, everyone was telling me like it's just her exact same moveset from Origins, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no.
Look at that. Look at the way that like you can go to the hammer rush at like 0 speed. It's not like a drop dash. Also, you noticed her hammer spin starts as long as you're going vertically upwards, but you start going downward, it just goes to a regular spin without the hammer.
A little bit of extra player agency there, you know?
Yes, which, you know, I had to learn from looking at the frame by frame and analyzing that.
I didn't even know there was water here. When did this get here? That's cool.
I swear you went through it earlier.
I think my brain's just rotting.
It's all good.
When you play the game, you forget that there's water in the earlier stages. Okay, we're back here. Okay, let's try. Okay. Oh. Okay. Damn. Damn.
Rip.
Right here. This Amy sprite is also nice. Like this made for the game.
Yes. Joshy, Flip, and Emma. I was originally just going to use the Origin sprites, and they said, It's like, Noah, hold up, let us cook. I think we can make something completely original. I think we can make it really feel like the Sonic 3 version of Amy.
Yeah.
So let us get to work on that, and they got to work on that with another artist as well. And yeah, I think it turned out really well.
We're gonna try this with the other play
Unique
style.
Amy sprite.
I noticed it. I noticed she looked like she had like a brain cell in her head with this sprite. So I was like, that must be new. When I look
I
at,
have no idea how to interpret that.
when I look
Are you
at,
saying you think he looks dumb otherwise?
when I look at classic Amy, especially in Superstars, I look at her and I'm like, the amount of brain cells that you must have in your head with that dumb little smile, I would only be able to count on one hand if I were an amputee.
That is
You see what I'm
that
saying?
is oddly specific. Yes.
She just looks so silly. This one looks like she's actually got something going on up there, you know? There are
Okay,
thoughts.
good. Totally what we were going for.
I don't even mean that insultingly to the Superstar stuff either. I can see the appeal in both Amy being just a big silly and being, you know, a bit more sophisticated.
So have you played the Sonic 3 Air Amy extra slot?
Never played as Amy in Sonic 3 Air before.
Yeah, so the deal is if you bounce on the ground
Ah, okay, that's fun.
and it sort of reverses your angle.
I am a
so,
destructive
yeah, you-
force.
Yeah, you can do cool stuff like that. If you're standing completely still, you can actually get a lot of air with the bounce,
Like this?
which is, yeah, so you get it's higher than just a normal jump, which is nice. But the moment you start moving forward, it translated it more into horizontal speed instead of vertical speed.
That is a lot to account for. Like, I'd imagine from a programming perspective, that would be a lot to, like, kind of...
Yeah, so it's a matter of taking the just sort of like you take the angle that Amy was in the frame before she hit the ground, and then the angle of the ground she's hitting, and you use those together to calculate the resulting angle. So,
You know what's-
and I got that straight from the creator of the Sonic 3 and Air Amy.
What's really
He
enhancing
kindly sent me
this
the algorithm.
for me is that there's a bit of controller rumble whenever she does the bounce.
You can turn that off if you'd like.
No, I like it. It makes me feel destructive
Nice. The power of the rumble.
in the palm of my hands.
That's right.
Was that not what you were going for?
Maybe subconsciously.
Damn.
That's that quote's burned into my brain, but I wasn't even thinking about it when I said that.
Wait, can I do this on spikes? Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, she is a little OP.
I am a danger to this society now. I am a human, well, hedgehog tank.
Yeah, that's why I think I said I liked this playstyle, because I think it's really fun. You get to do crazy stuff like that.
I am the danger.
I am vengeance. I am the night.
I am Amy Rose. Doesn't
Got
quite
him.
hit the same, does it?
Nah, not quite, but you know what? We'll go with it.
This is something else. That was only half intended as a Spider-Man quote.
Was that another subconscious thing?
Some way half between. Like, as I was saying it, I realized what I was doing.
Yeah. See, it happens to you too. It just happens.
I think anyone that likes those movies develops it as like a secondary language. Because there is a
Yeah.
quote for anything in those movies. I am a big
I love. Yeah. Yeah, I am something of a Spider-Man quoter myself.
Oh, brilliant. I couldn't think of anything. I knew I wanted to.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh, oh.
I protected
Jason
you in high
Swing
school,
one.
now I'm gonna kick your little ass. I just rewatched 3 recently the other day, actually, just before the new game came out, because, like, you know, get some black suit, you know?
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
Dude, movie gets too much hate.
Yeah,
Have you seen
ridiculous
the
amount of hate.
editor's cut?
Yes, that's what we watched.
I do think it's an improvement.
Same. The only thing that I don't think is an improvement is I miss the bit where Mr. Ditkovich is like, you call her up and you say, you are good woman, I am good man.
I am good man.
Cutting that scene felt a little sacrilege to me.
Oh, is that not in the editor's cut?
Not in
Dang.
the editor's cut, no, they replaced it with something else.
Dude, Ditkovich is top tier. I was to say something. I think I don't mind the James Brown montage that everyone hates. I
Same.
think maybe the nightclub dance maybe a little too much, but
No disagreement from me there. I still enjoy it as a scene, but I agree that it's a bit too much. I'm at that point where I'm like more than happy to just accept the film as what it is. But like even then,
I think we weren't ready for it.
I agree. It's the thing with it is you don't come out of it feeling this triumphant feeling. You come out of it feeling exhausted, tired, and a bit sad. And that's what I love about it. But I can understand why people might come out of it and be like, well, I wanted a Spider-Man film to feel triumphant, you know?
And you want him flying across the American flag, the Empire State Building at the end.
I love
Well, maybe
that
you don't
stuff.
care,
People
but yeah.
call it corny, but I love that stuff. Even as a non-American, that stuff makes me feel patriotic for a country that I don't live in.
Yeah, it's great. It's satisfying. But the thing I think is that we wanted. Did you know that movie came out in 2006, dude?
7.
That's when like okay, yeah, 7.
Sorry, that was
That's when-
aggressive. I did not mean to cut in like that.
Every
Ooh.
it's like, you know, we were just still in the think of like Jack and Daxter versus Jack 2 and Jack 3.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's
And
a
how they-
complete tonal change, isn't it? Like,
Yes, and I think with the time we wanted him to put on that black suit and just be so cool
Yeah.
and so edgy and so menacing, and Sam Raimi's like, no, you look like a clown when you try to be
yes.
a bad A. And
Not to mention that, like, the whole thing Raimi was doing was he wanted us to want Spider-Man to get rid of the black suit. Like,
yeah, you're not supposed to like it. Everyone's like, oh, it's the coolest. It's like, no, it's bad. It makes him a douche. So what we wanted was just a like idealized, you know, version. And instead, Sam Raimi held up a mirror and said, look how dorky you look when you try to be menacing.
I love that stuff so much.
Yeah, I don't think we were ready for it.
I even love
yeah,
what he did
it's
with
just-
Venom as well. Like, it might not be that typical sort of we are Venom kind of monster type, but like, it's
Yeah.
a dark reflection kind of deal, you know? It's like,
Yes.
this is what Spider-Man would be if the person who was bit by the spider were a colossal douche, or this is what Peter
Yeah.
could have become had he stuck with the black suit, basically.
Yeah, I think they could still, for the fans, they should have made him a little bulkier and made his voice, made the growls deeper. And I
That's
think
fair.
that could have done a lot for him. But yeah. Also, yeah, is this your first time playing this Angel Island Zone?
It
With
is.
Knuckles here.
I've not done this before. This is all new to me.
All right, cool. Yes, this was a surprise for people. Because not only did I keep the Knuckles plot twist secret, I kept the fact that Knuckles was playable. That was the number one question I got is, can you play as Knuckles in the game? And I kept that secret up until release. So people playing the game, beating it, and then getting the screen that says, congratulations, you can now play as Knuckles. It was a legit surprise. They had no idea Angel Island was in the game. You know, all this stuff. So actually, yeah, there's a cutscene and a boss fight coming up here that'll explain some of the lore of the game.
So is this only available in free play? Because I was trying to load up a save with Knuckles a minute ago.
It's available in story mode, yeah.
I'll have to go back to that because I feel like I'm probably going to be missing some important stuff.
So you do, unlike Sonic 3, you do have to select a save file and then you can change your character.
Ah, okay.
So that does confuse some people, but it was a lot easier to program for my sake, so I just did that.
Justified. Aha, okay. Oh, I want that. Knuckles, it's behind you, buddy.
This is the ending of Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Knuckles, you big silly. There you go, it's fine. It worked out. Nothing can go wrong now. Uh-oh.
Who is Knuckles? That's right.
He who does not laugh at anything. Unlike Sonic, he has no sense of humor whatsoever.
None.
Oh! What? He's just got him, but... Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's where he learned to... That's where he got to copy Knuckles' data so he could disguise himself.
He's like some kind of machine.
Which explains why the Knuckles you're fighting in the rest of the game. So this is actually before Sonic's campaign. Or concurrently, because then you get to see here. This is what happens at the beginning of the game. That's why the emeralds vanished, because Knuckles was using the power of the Master Emerald to summon them away.
That's awesome. Oh, that is such a clever...
There you go.
That's a clever tie. I'm going to load up a new save. Let's get a start on this, at the very least. So let's get a new... Aha! There we go. Save. There we go. We're going to do this again. I
Sure.
liked the
Why not?
little... I liked his little Man of Steel moment when the rocks were coming up when he was using the Master Emerald.
Mm-hmm. Man of Steel. Yeah, that was actually, I think, Star Wars inspired.
Ah, makes sense. I'm the only one that likes that movie.
Man of Steel?
Yeah.
That's not the worst movie.
This is fresh. Just like... I think this is how you bring back an old level as well. Have it in there as a surprise, you know? Like,
Yeah,
make me happy to see it again. Not like the Green Hill constantly coming back.
that was my hope. And you notice the music playing is not the exact Sonic 3 version of this song. It's a remix I did.
Little variation. I like it.
Yeah, it's familiar enough to where it's still the same song, but just a little new coat of paint.
You're here under new contexts, you know, like...
Mm-hmm, exactly. And the stage is using Knuckles climbing a lot more. It's emphasizing that since he's the only one that can go to this.
I'll come back to that another time.
Yeah, you don't need that.
I've always loved how bedraggled Sonic and Tails look in those tiny miniaturized sprites at the end of Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Bedraggled is a good word. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh, it means exhausted, broken, wounded. I don't know, like something along those lines. Little damage.
Bedraggled.
Bedraggled.
Bedraggled. Never forget it.
Sounds like a spin-off of Bejeweled, but like an evil one.
Bedraggled.
Bedraggles the echidna. Alright, we've done it. Oh no, my best friend Metal Sonic has got me in a lock.
All life form data successfully copied. So he also gets Knuckles' treasure hunting abilities, which is why there he thinks of the emeralds and tries to go after them.
Trust no one, not even yourself.
That's right.
This is such a cool little lore thing here. That's...
Thank you.
What do you mean I can climb on just any wall and not the red ones? So have you played Sonic Frontiers?
I have. I haven't finished that one either.
Oh, damn.
I know, I'm way behind on that one.
How would you feel about what you've got so far?
I feel real weird about that game.
Really?
Yeah, I almost kind of feel guilty because a lot of people were like, "Ah, Sonic's back, baby. This is the best 3D Sonic game in years. This is absolutely where it is, where we gotta go now. It's all great." And I'm like, I don't know. I found there's parts of it feel really messy.
That's an
And then I
absolutely
found hard to
fair
digest.
kind of assessment, because I will hold up my hand in the air and say that Sonic Frontiers is some of the most fun I've had with any video game. And I love it for that reason.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Wow.
find it consistently enjoyable. I enjoy the movement of it and stuff like that. And just having that freedom to do that with Sonic. But I think someone saying it's messy is absolutely an objective truth, because as far as I see it, maybe it's one of the best Sonic games in my opinion, but it's
Wow.
it's the beta test for one of the best Sonic games, as far as I'm concerned. Because there's so much
Yeah, maybe it's a
about it.
call me back when we hone it a little more because I'm having trouble right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can understand why someone might not be willing to tolerate the shortcomings that it has, because the art design of the Starfall Islands is clearly like, we made the islands first, came up with context later. There's a lot of lamp shading of very obvious issues, and it is one of those things where Sega's kind of made it no secret that this was more of a test bed for the future games than anything else. Like, for example...
Which is great if they need to do that, but yeah.
The updates, like, they're so substantial that one might wonder, why are these things free? It's free because they want to find out how you feel about the spin dash. It's free because they want to find out how you feel about parry timing and stuff like that, higher difficulty. It's basically a focus group, effectively. And I can understand why someone might not appreciate paying $60 to be part of a worldwide focus group for the next Sonic game. I, for one, got something out of it. I had a fun time, especially with the boss fights. The supersonic ones are, in my opinion, the highlight of the game.
I've had a lot of frustration with the boss fights.
Really?
I've actually had better time with the Superstars boss fights so far than I have with the Frontiers boss fights, which is probably blasphemy to say right now, but...
Are we talking just the supersonic ones, or the Guardians as well?
I've only had one supersonic one, so I'm talking most, I guess, about the Guardians and stuff.
Interesting. The jank, like, there's that Ashura one with the legs.
It's the jank that kills me. What's the one where you're on the path? The octopus, what's his name?
Yeah, Squid.
Squid.
You were so close.
Yeah, I was. God, I haven't rage quit a Sonic game since I was a kid, dude. But
damn, you had a hard time with it?
God, it just wasn't clicking for me. Are you boosting constantly in this game? Because this is something I found is there's a lot of times where I'm pressing boost and then I'm punished for it. Like the game doesn't want me to boost.
Interesting. I find if you don't boost, you don't go fast at all in that game.
I found that if I boost, I go too fast.
You can reduce that in the slider options. That is...
Yes, which drives me crazy. Because then I'm like, what? I understand that it's like, we want to give people options and customize it. But at the same time, I'm like, guys, you designed the game. I don't want to do it. What speed am I supposed to go at? What's the most optimal speed? You design these levels with a certain speed in mind. Which is it? Like, I want that one. I don't know. But that's just, a certain development philosophy.
Yeah, it's something that's been quite a hot debate ticket that on this channel, actually. I'm much more...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm much more on the side of, I think sliders are okay within certain boundaries, I guess. Like, I think sometimes the levels can be a little more versatile, and sometimes not so much. And I did encounter it with, like, one of the cyberspace stages post-update. If you had the deacceleration turned down, which makes it more momentum-y, means, he gradually loses speed instead of instantly braking like he does in the base game. I've found there are some stages that are just unplayable if you've got the deacceleration down, and I don't think that's good. That's not something to go with. However, my sister, for example, is real stupid when it comes to Sonic games. She thinks they're too fast, and, like, I've seen her try and play Colors, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, Frontiers. They finally gave her an option of playing it in stupid mode. So, I think from that standpoint, I can appreciate it from, like, an accessibility standpoint. But I think that's more just what it should be as an accessibility feature rather than like a, hey, bitch, you make the game this time,
Yeah, because if there are some levels that become unplayable by messing with the sliders, I feel like that is, like you said, that's not good. Like, you shouldn't be able to go into the options to make the game worse and unplayable.
It's a bit sloppy jalopy if...
You're allowing the player to ruin their own experience in a way that I think is unnecessary. I don't know.
Again, it's like a test bed thing. They wanted to basically find out how people most like to play their Sonic, and
yeah, they probably got like data that tracks like what people's most common slider settings are and that type of thing.
That'd be interesting if they had that. I don't know if they do, but I know that like the director.
Spider-Man pointing meme.
What's that, sorry?
I said Spider-Man pointing meme at the two knuckles. Nah.
The director of the game has been like very communicative, if that's the word.
He has, yes, for sure.
And it was one of those things where it's like, you know, he was like, oh, I'm thinking a spin dash might be a fun idea, but I don't know, so we'll just add a spin dash in Update 2. And, like, the game was not designed with a spin dash in mind, but, like, here it is. And, I mean, I think it makes the game more fun, even though you can kind of break out of areas that you probably shouldn't be able to. I've always found that to be kind of a little intrinsic to Sonic, is sometimes there'll be, like, an obstacle course ahead, and it's like, oh, well, there's a little hill here, maybe I could just spin dash over those obstacles. And that's part of the fun for me, so I'm cool with it, but yeah, I don't know, I can basically understand why someone would not think Frontiers is an adequate product. I think it's rough. I'm hoping...
Really rough. To be fair, I haven't finished it, so I'm not giving my, like, final assessment on it, but I think the fact that I haven't finished it kind of tells you that I wasn't like, man, I can't put this down, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really want to like it because a lot of people are just so high on it and just really, really like, oh gosh, it's one of the, I mean, the journalist reception I felt was pretty positive in terms of 3D Sonic, but like, I don't know,
It was an okay reception overall. There are certain things in there that I'm surprised didn't get more flack, to be honest.
Yeah, it's weird how, like, I don't know if people the movie just made everyone want to like it enough and created enough goodwill, because I
think it's also the basic foundation of it is, like, the overall structure of this thing is something that people are really liking, and I think people that love the game the most,
dude,
probably most
journalists
like
are suckers for open world. Have you noticed this?
I have. I think it was a
just general audiences in general. It's always like, gosh, have you ever I'm glad they're making Star Wars Outlaws, because it feels like every Star Wars game that's ever been made is just the number one comment is always like, I wish they would just make an open world Star Wars game. Can you imagine how cool that would be to have an open world Star Wars game? Imagine Star Wars, but over. I'm like, okay, I get it. This game isn't that. Please shut up. Just let Respawn make their Metroidvania, and golly. And so people just love the idea of this game, but this property, but open world. And now that they gave you your open zone, Sonic game, people are just like, yeah, this is what we want. And I'm like, it's sloppy, guys. Yes, it's open, but like, I found that the linear games were so tightly designed, and this game is just like flabby. It just lets you turn the setting. It's so open. It lets you turn the game into something you can't even.
It's in a way, it's like what you make of it. In a way, it's like, is Sonic Frontiers a good game? Depends.
Oh no.
Have I done something bad?
Son, we have soft locked. Well, I'm glad we caught this.
I'm just gonna enjoy the sunset, to be honest. Like,
yeah, cool. Yeah, maybe that's a place to wrap up. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Well, man, it's been fun having you on, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me talk. Of course, we ended up talking about Spider-Man, which is great.
We are Sonic fans at the end of the day. We will talk about Spider-Man.
So yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm glad you've enjoyed the game. I'm glad I got to see you beat it for the first time.
Yeah,
unlock Knuckles for the first time, and all that great stuff. And yeah, and thank you for everyone in the chat that's also been so kind and had a good time as well.
Yeah, thanks for being here, folks. Sunset City will be back to doing podcasts quite soon. We're going to have a pretty new cast, so we got a lot to look forward to, but in the meantime, we're going to have a little more of these kind of adventures where we're having friends on to talk about different games, different fan games, hopefully. I hope I can get other fan game developers on as well. But yeah, expect more of that in the future. Noah, it's been a pleasure, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No worries, dude. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.